Well, hello everyone. Today is another day. And today it's going to be about going back onto the trailer. And yesterday I finished up doing the lift kit on the homemade lift kit on the smart car. So today I wanted to get started on getting the beams in so that I can hook up the brackets, the shackles for the leaf springs. So what I had to do originally is I utilized some more of the I-beams, or the 6-inch I-beams, whatever they are, just 6-inch C-channel, I'm sorry, not I-beams, 6-inch C-channels. And I needed to make them 103 1/4 inches long. So I did, and I did both of them. So I didn't want to bore people with me cutting and welding and actually heating up an area that was a little bent and beating the heck out of it with a sledgehammer. So I left that part out. And what I did was I set it, obviously, this channel underneath the trailer, as well as the left side of the trailer did the same thing. And to show the process that it took me by myself to set up the C channel, I eventually end up using a bottle jack, and I used the floor jack. The floor jack is on the back side, and this originally was up here in the front. But after welding a little section to hold it in place, the back, I wanted to make sure that the front was all the way up, and it was, so I stitched weld part of that, and then I moved the jack, bottle jack, to the middle, just about. So as you can see, I have a little spot there about 1 inch holding that, and basically what I did is I split the C channel in half of where the perch on the axles are. And the reason why I split it in half, because wherever the hangers are going, I'm going to box it in so that I have a full range of support for the hangers. So that's the reason why I split it in half, so that the middle of the two pieces of 6-inch C-channel, the center of it will end up in the center where the hole on the perch is. It'll be right there in the middle on all three axles. So that's why I did that. And this side too, obviously being 103 1/4 inches long. But to give you an idea of what it took to get that in place in my one person setup, that's what I did. And to keep this end of the trailer down, I put some weight on it from the machine. So I'm going to show you what it takes and what I did. I'm going to set you up on the stand and go from there. And hopefully you'll be able to see what it is I'm doing and get a good idea. And the reason why I'm using that 6-inch channel is because the wheels, I want them at that height from basically from the bottom or the top of the deck in order to have enough clearance for it to ride. So because they're 4-inch drop axles, they're not straight axles, that's what I had to do. I had to make up the difference. So I believe it's going to work out really well. And if it's really not enough, if the trailer isn't quite high enough and separated enough from the tires, then all I have to do really is buy 1-inch blocks, spacers, and put them between the leaf springs, the bottom of it, and the top of the perches, and that'll allow the trailer to go up 1 more inch, which I believe would be more than enough. I already will have 3 inches of clearance from say the bottom of whatever decking I'm using over there, which would be diamond plate over the wheels, to the top of the tire. There'll be a 3-inch travel. So I believe that'll be enough, but if not, it can always be fixed. So I'm going to show you what I did. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, and I'm going to get started. Okay, that's that. I need this. I use this strap to this way, it holds it in place a lot easier. I was trying to use the clamps, but it just wasn't working out very well. So this was the better choice, doing it that way. And for the front, I used that block over there with the steel on it to give me some height. But I got to get that jack out of there. And before I do that, I'm going to eye up the center of this I-beam. I keep saying I-beam, and this, basically it's being used as an I-beam to hold the axle. But the C-channel, I'm going to mark a center line so that I know where it's at without guessing when I lift this up and do it accordingly. It's almost the same height as the axle. Yep, turn this around. Let's see. So. Alrighty, gonna make this a little longer. And I want to be able to pull up on it, so I gotta go like this. Yep, just like that. Well, so far, it's working. Snug it up. And jack it up. Line it up with the line. We got pressure. Holy cow, that went so much easier than the other side, I can't tell you. I was trying to use those big bar clamps on the outside over there to try to hold it. Then I go to the front and use the other clamps to squeeze channel lock like. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Not fun at all. Alright. Alright. It's split here. We're even over there. And we're still even over here. And it is on the line there. Let's see. On the line there. Just for the fun of it. I'm going to measure it. See if it is that. It's 1 inch roughly, a little bit less, closer to 15/16. And same here. You know what? There we go. Now I see the line better. We're golden. And I'm going to jack this jack up a little bit more. Yep, because it came down on its own. Now I got pressure. Now I can't see the line. I can see that one. Now I can see the line. Yep, I like it. I'm running pretty smooth all the way through. Now it's time to tack it. I can actually move this out of the way. I'm leaving it on there as a safety precaution. You can believe that. Oh, for sure. First, make sure alrighty. Let's see, what does the middle look like? Looks like I'm gonna take the jack and move it over. Yep. Just like I did on the other side. Yeah. I need more room. Well, now it's tacked in place. Time to clean the slag off. You can see what I got. Still on the mark over here, and it's still on the mark over here. Yes, sir. Take all this stuff down, and then the next thing is I'm going to lay out the leaf springs and where the hangers would go, and mark that out, and then obviously cut some 6-inch channel and put it in that area. Obviously, I'll make it longer than I needed, just in case. But this is definitely the start of it, and I do believe it's going to work out just fine. It's unhooked. Put that right there. Wanted to make sure that there was enough pressure and that everything was as close as it was going to get. That's the important part. It's not critical, but it's important. Alright. Move this out of the way. Now I'm going to move the machine out of the way so I don't have to keep crossing over it. Okay, I'm going to give you a view of what it looks like, how it's set up, and kind of tell you what's going to go on after that, obviously. Okay. You can see that the 6-inch channel ends on the support there where I started building the frame for the leaf springs, which you can easily see. And there's a nice stitch weld there holding this end up. There's one in the middle, roughly, and one here at the other end. So pretty much 103 inches is kind of like the cradle of the triaxle suspension. I guess that's the best way of putting it. So, give you an overview on the inside of it. I'm going to see if I can find a small piece of 6-inch channel. I don't think I have a small one to show you what I'm going to do. I could use, what can I use? I can use the 4-inch one. Give you an idea of what I'm doing. Ooh, I can hold this with a couple of fingers. Imagine this 4-inch channel averagely being 6 inches. So what'll end up happening is wherever the hanger ends up being, which may be over here, it might be here. So obviously, pretending it's this way or whatever, it's going to go in there, obviously like this, and I'm going to weld it in so that this way I have a full boxed area where the hangers will be. So there'll be one here, and then obviously in the front, somewhere around this general area, there'll be another one for the two to pivot together, and then the other one will probably be around this cross beam here, and then the final hanger, I'd imagine, will end up being somewhere here on the front one, some in that general area, for both sides, obviously. And those measurements I'll give you once I actually have them. I know that the company where I got the triaxle assembly from, the hangers, as you can see, and those are the center pieces. There's two sections that look like that, and then obviously the final, which is right there. And when I asked for measurements, I think the overall measurement that I think puts it into perspective, because as you can see here, one end of the leaf spring has a bolt going through it, and the opposite side doesn't have going through there, but it acts as a pin or a bushing to where that hook right there will stop. So he told me from the inside of this to where the bolt that goes through, there's a 1-inch space. So that's all I needed to know, because it's easy enough then to set it up, because you'll set it up from the front or from the back and go forward, or from the front and go back. But either way, that right there was a good measurement to go off of, so that this way, when you're setting up all those cradles for this, they'll end up in the proper area so that the suspension will work correctly. So that's going to be the next task. So I will give measurements based on the length of the leaf springs and what I did and how far apart the brackets get mounted. In case you're doing the same thing, you can do it even with tandem. It would be the same measurements. If you're doing triaxle, obviously, it would be the measurements I give you. So look out for that, and tomorrow definitely is another day for this. It's getting dark. Looks like it wants to rain. I hope it does, because we could use it. And there is the chief in charge, little Miss Puss in Boots. She had me nervous earlier. She looked like she was laying there, and she might have been totally out of it. But you can see she's scratching. She's telling me to go scratch. Go get him, kitty. But that's the scoop on that. So until tomorrow, I'll pick up and we'll start again. Okay. And today is another day. The day after yesterday. But anyway, there she is. She's in charge again. She's overlooking. Pussycat. She's been fed twice so far, and it's not even before noon. But yesterday I said that I would chime back into the trailer, and I am at this point. And I got a few things set up that I knew would be kind of boring to watch, but I have most of the shackles, the U-bolts, whatever hangers you want to call these things, in place on the right side of the trailer. So one of the things you got to keep in mind when you're doing a trailer, that knowing that your rectangle structure of your frame, that you keep the axles or the hangers in check, in square to everything that's on here, if that makes any sense. So obviously the center of this axle ends up being 4 foot. So from that point, I'm able to figure on the first hanger that I needed to be from the inside. I went from the inside of the 6-inch C channel all the way over to where the beginning of that hanger would be 32 5/8. So obviously I had to make sure I did the same thing over here and that the center of the axle remained the same as on that side. So that was my starting point. So from there, the way these triaxle setup works, you have a little bit of wiggle room, not much, between that setup and that one. That one, it gets directed bolted into the leaf spring, and then that back end hangs on top of the bolt that goes through there. Now from the back side of, I can show you here, of the leaf spring, it's got a hook. So from the inside of that to the face side of the bolt, there should be at least an inch. So that gives this plenty of travel space between no load and a heavy load. That's what I was told, at least 1 inch inside there. So you have 3 of those points. Obviously at the very back end, and then you have one in the middle, and then you have one towards the front leaf spring, and obviously it's right there. And then the solid points are one in the front, and then this one right here, and then the last one. So they get hooked up pretty good. It's just a matter of making sure that everything as far as measurements are the same on both sides, so that you track square to the trailer. As long as you do that, I believe that it will reduce any unnecessary wear in your tires. It'll pull correct, and you just do your best in keeping the measurements as accurate as you can. So what I'm about to do now is place the new axle in place so that I can it'll help when it comes to setting up everything that you see here before you. And then once that one is close to being in place, then I'm going to roll that one into place, which will be the front one. And Kitty will make sure that that happens, because here she comes. She's going to check it out. So I'm going to put you on the stand, and I'm going to attempt to get that axle in there without any damage. Right, Puss in Boots? Okay. But I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to slip it underneath there. Got a couple of blocks of wood there. Hopefully that'll help. Hopefully. Too bad I didn't have a little cart that rolled easy, like the ones that go underneath the wheels for a car, but the ones I have don't roll that easy. They'll probably end up sliding right off the darn thing. Yep. Okay. Right, Kitty, you gonna help? Sneak in there. Alrighty. Flip it around like that. Put this like this. Let the axle rotate. The company that I get the supplies from don't have the hubs in yet. So I can't put any hubs on there to put wheels on there. I don't know if that would make it easier, but it would make it more comfortable in propping up the axle, because then the axle would be at the height I need in order to line up the pin with the perch, I think. Push. I don't even know how I'm going to get that in there. Don't know. Not enough room on that side. And I think I would have to roll it all the way back here. I might have to take the wheels off, put the axle in, and put the wheels back on it. That's what I'm speculating I might have to do. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. Put this stuff out of the way. Yep, I'll at least get it over here. I'll get it on over here and I'll take the wheels off. And then I'll slide the axle across just like I did that one. That one will be a tad bit heavier only because it's got the plates on it and the hardware, the brakes, it's got everything it needs. I'm sure I'll be fine. Figure. Well, it's not going to fit in here on its own. Nope. Might have to finagle it. Yeah. The wheel just wants to roll away. Do that. Come on now, you know you want to stay here. Oh, let's see. It'll keep that in place. Okay. Not sure of the size. And it is 13/16. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Set that aside. I'll have to put these lug nuts where I'm going to need them. Over here. Oh, this looks like fun. Yep. Maybe I can do it like this. Nice and slowly. Yeah, that was safe. That's the best way to do that. Yep, now the other one. So I'm going to back the camera up. Take the other one off. Kitty's on the move. She said I'm doing good so far. She doesn't have to watch me do this. Okay. Nice and even. Nice and slow. Yep. Oop, pop the cap. Pop the cap at it. That's back on. Alright, let's put this off to the side. Grab the lug nuts. Put them on the other side. On the other side. Put this over here. Okay. Move you forward so you can see the struggles. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Get it to where I think it's in the middle. We'll see. Let's see. Well, the back end's going up. Front end is not. So, let's move it a little bit. If I can. There we go. I think we got a happy balance. Yeah, this is much easier. It's worth the effort. Now what I could probably do is jack it up high enough. I'll be able to get it up and over that steel piece. The 4-inch C-channel. I think I could, I would move this back a little bit more. So far, so good. Damn. I think I'm going to try to slide that 20-foot piece of 4-inch C-channel back. And that means I'm going to need something else to go there. I don't want to drag it on the ground if it doesn't have to. It just makes it harder. So, I think that'll be a good spot. It looks like there's enough room. Hoorah, hooray. I can actually lower this a little bit. Now I have to move this to go around the leaf spring. Okay, so make this work for me. I got to get this all the way down. And okay, so I'm going to need something to hold up the spring, which that's easy enough. I think that's as far as that's going, so I'm going to have to extend. I'll lower this down, see where it gets me. Let's see. Let this roll like that. Slowly. Like this. I'm going to go to the other side and scoot her over. Oh yeah, this is going to be fun. Definitely got to go a little bit more. Cross 6-inch channel. So, that go a little bit like that. Put this out of the way. Alright, so, will that work in there? I have no idea. Don't know. You know, that part will work. Maybe this part will work. Maybe I can put it back on the way I took it off. Who knows? Let's see. You never can tell. No, because then I have to put this in here. Like if I was putting the tire on, obviously, like that. I think I'm going to have to get this out of the way, this 4-inch channel. A lot of 4-inch channel in the way today. That like that, do that like that, put this over here, put this over here. Well, I'm kind of doing it the opposite way. Got it in up that high. Probably another 4 inches more to go. Be careful there. Okay, well, that's that part right there. Real out of time. That's all I can really do. and you don't have a helper, and you're a one-man band, this is what you gotta do. Much further. Well, more than the standing block that is. Move this over here like this. Put this here like this. And let's see if I can go. Nope, I guess not. Hallelujah. I'll get a little bit of room. You dog, you. The block of wood keeps moving on me. What does it look like on this side if I can hold this with 3 fingers? Get that to come in like that. I'm almost there. Whew! Let's see. I don't know. Can't even. Ooh. The studs are pretty much gonna line up, I believe. I just gotta get that to go up, which I think I have an idea. A little leverage. What is an I-beam? Or an H-beam? Whichever works. Which is taller. I can put a 4x4 across there, and I have that. As you go along, you got to think of creative ways to get something accomplished. That's what it boils down to, as far as I could tell anyway. Let's see, pry bar. Oop! It rolled on me. Let's see. I don't know if that'll help. Trying. The top is partly in. Slowly getting there. If I can get one lug nut started, might not be so bad. It can kind of hold its position, maybe. Ooh, we're getting somewhere. Lug nut time. I could probably get 3 on. Yep, there's 3. I'm going to snug them up a little bit. Ooh, they don't have to go far. Just drawing in a little at a time. To where maybe I can get another one started. See, the bottom of the tire's got to kick in. It tells me it's at the right height because the leaf spring and the perch didn't meet up. And it is centered. Yep, still centered. So the pressure is on just like that one right there, so it's a good sign anyway. Let me see here. Well, we got a 4th one started. 5th one started. And that 6th one will not be started. Now I can. 6th one is on. Hold it right in. Well, now I know what I'm up against for the other side. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pause it for the moment. Now that you have an idea what it's taken to get this axle in there and get the tire on, no need to watch the other side because I probably only edit it out anyway. So I'm going to put you on hold and go from there. Okay, I am back. And so is Puss in Boots. She just examined something, and I'll get to that in a second. So actually that side went a lot easier because I was able to get the floor jack underneath the tube towards that end and jacked it up and put the tire on there. So the next thing I noticed, and it's the reason why I only temporarily install the units, is because if for some reason the calculations are a little bit off, I can make the adjustments. And in this case, I'm going to. Not enough clearance here, even though I can stick my hand in there. I'm going to move the whole, say, cradle assembly back 2 more inches, that way, to the rear of the trailer. And I believe at that point, then it will fix how close that tire is, because I have a lot of room back here and there's more space in the middle axle than there is in the front one by a couple of inches. So by moving everything back at least 2 inches, maybe a little bit more, I'll have more freedom here in the front. And that is my plan. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reposition the hangers because they're only clamped on there with the clamps. I'm going to bring everything back 2 inches, maybe 2.5. Let's see how it works out. So I'll go and I'll make some new marks, square them up, and bring everything back. And in the meantime, I will install the leaf spring hangers and everything on the opposite side once I have this side moved. So that's my plan, and at this point you know what's going on, so I will get back to you because that other stuff to move it is boring. So I'll be back. Okay, I am back and I got everything moved, which was a little bit of a challenge. but it'll be comfortable. I ended up with 2¼ inches going back, and from where the tire would hit this, it's 4 inches. So I got 4 inches of clearance, which here from the top of this frame to where the tire would hit on the plate that's going to be here is 3 inches. So that would have, the tire would hit the diamond plate that I'm putting on top. That would hit that first before it would ever hit that. I don't know if I want to move it back any further. I have another tire which is part of the trailer spare that I had. Well, actually the wagon wheel is the spare. This one, the tire kept going flat. So I used that one as a reference point, center of this tire, to see where it would end up being in this frame. So if I keep going back further with it, I'll end up with the same scenario as I do there. So I'm comfortable with that position of these 3 axles. So I took all my measurements. I don't know if you can see the marks that I made where, let's see, yep, right where the hangers would go for each of the hangers. Mark with an X to the side, obviously, that it goes on. And I transferred all those marks to this side so they would be accurate. And I took each and every measurement, started here at the back of the frame to this. And for each measurement, I didn't go from one to the next to the next. I went from back on all the measurements so they would be equal. And as I got to 123 inches and 5/16, because of the spread, and it was hard to keep the tape measure pretty firm all the way across, considering the spread. As you can see there, most likely, the extra short line on that 4-inch C channel, and that is a mark from the top of the deck all the way across, and that mark was made at 125 inches. And I put it on both sides so that I could verify my main lines for the hangers, and they came out the same. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to let it go with that. So what I'm going to do now is take the rest of the hanger supports and put them on the left side of the trailer. And as you can see them there, I will have to disassemble the bolt out of that one so that it could be used, a new bolt will be used in the new hanger. I had them set like this so that I would not forget how it was set up originally. So that's that. I'm going to put the hangers on, connect everything that I can connect, and then once I feel comfortable with it all, I will actually tack it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on pause again, get all those in place because it's boring as well, but at least you get to see how I'm setting it up. And I'm going to set it up the same way over there, and then once I know I'm good and ready, I will turn it back on and I will film the little bit of welding tack points just to make sure that all is well, and then that is like my second reaffirming everything. And at that point, once I know that it's 100% or at least close to it, 99%, then I'll go in there and go ahead and weld away and have them all in place. So that's the scoop. And actually the U-bolts, the new ones, are in that box, and for all 3 axles. So once everything is welded in, or I should say clamped in, then I'm going to put the U-bolts on before I tack weld it, because I'm sure there'll be some little shifting or whatever, but just to reassure them the measurements That's the plan. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with that. Clamp everything in, put the U-bolts and the brackets on, and see what happens. And if I'm happy with that, then I'm welding it in. And I will film that to give you an idea just how much welding all those small pieces will take. So I'll be right back. I'm back again, and this time I wanted to show something before I finish putting the left leaf spring on, and that is plastic bushings that needed to be made for the eyelet part here. Okay, this leaf spring here, when I took it apart out of the old bracket or the hanger, it was just a bolt that was in there. And maybe you'd be able to tell that it's worn out because it wore out the bushing. So I took the material that I took off of the Smart Car, the plastic spacers that I made for the coil springs to lift the front end, before I got the Toyota Camry struts. So I took them and I cut them down, and I needed a total of 2 inches in length. And the inside hole is 9/16. And the outer diameter in thousandths is 700 thousandths. It's less than an inch, obviously. Somewhere around 3/4 of an inch outer diameter. So there isn't a lot of material left in between there, but it belongs in there so that this way, when the bolt goes in, it'll have something solid around it instead of nothing but a big hole, because it would be sloppy if I didn't do that. So I'm going to tap those in. It's a little excessive. That's that one. And that's that one. Let's make it even. Alrighty. I feel I'm going to need this hammer to tap this bolt in, because it is a little snug. Gotta protect the hand. So hopefully you'll be able to see me over there putting the last one in there. Maybe that'll help. Maybe. Just maybe. I don't have my little microphone on because this part won't be a long part. It'll be short. So I won't be doing much talking. Hooray! That's in there. And actually, here's the bolt for the back part. And now the bolt for the front part. Lift it up. Alright. Well, I don't think they actually sell those little plastic bushings separate. I really don't know 100%. But just in case they don't sell those bushings separate, and them say, oh, you gotta buy the whole leaf spring. I'm just better off making it and having it, and this way I can finish putting it together. So I'm gonna check that out. All the other ones are in place. And I want to make one mental note, just in case. I know I said this before in my earlier videos when I was making this video in the beginning. When you're going to set your axles up, there's three here, obviously. You take the overall dimension of the deck, the rectangle that you make for your trailer. You do not include whatever hitch, whether it's a gooseneck or it's the tag-along type that goes on the bumper or your trailer hitch. But whatever it is, you don't include that part. You only include the part that basically carries the load. And I did say this before, but I just want to mention again because there's been many videos afterwards. So whatever the length is, it's 2/3 back from the front back to the center of your axles. In this case, there's three, so it would be the center of my middle axle. If it was a tandem, then it would be the center of the two of them together. Or if it's one, obviously, then it would be just the center of the single axle. So keep that in mind, 2/3 back. Or if you want to go 1/3 from the back forward, the center of how many axles? If it's one axle, it's the center of that one. If it's tandem, then it's the center of in between the two. And if it's a triaxle like this one, then it's the center of the middle axle. That's how you handle this when it comes to setting up your axles for your trailer so that it trails properly, weight-wise, distribution, and handling, and all the other stuff. That is the rule of thumb. You can research it, Google it, and I believe it will tell you that. But just a reminder, I know I said in the beginning, but now that we're actually setting them up, I just figure I'd give a reminder on where these axles will get set. Now that I have them all in place, I'm going to actually clamp the axles to the leaf springs. I got all new stuff, like I said, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll get back with you. Okay, I'm back, and it's the next day. And what I gotten accomplished, the boring stuff, is that I was able to tack weld all the hangers, get them into place where I felt it was necessary to put it, because I had to make adjustments so that the center of this wheel and the clearance would be acceptable, and it is. And then I went ahead and I cut the 6-inch C-channel to a certain length that I was looking for to accommodate my initial adding a little more structure or more welding surface for the hangers. And to give you an idea, this piece I cut at 5 inches, and it will go on top, on both sides obviously, of the hangers. So it goes here, kind of hard to hold all this, and goes above, and I'll center it over the hangers. And actually you can see one that I was able to tap in place right there. See that piece there? And it's right over the hanger, and I obviously have to weld them in, and once they're all welded in, then I'll be able to go underneath it and weld in the hangers. And in the meantime, before I get into welding in those pieces, I want to go ahead now and permanently weld in the 6-inch, the red channel that you see there, to the 4-inch C channel that actually is holding all the hangers and the triaxle suspension. Earlier I went and picked up the hangers. I needed a set of hangers and what have you for the axle, because when I got it I totally forgot that I would need them. I really wasn't sure what was coming with the kit, and prior I ordered for the original axles that I had all new hardware like I said it would. So everything is in place. They're tightened up, not 100%. I will go back and tighten everything else back up. But in the meantime, I think I can get started now. I'm going to measure the spacing in between the stitch welding that I'm going to do along the beam here to hold this in place. So I'm going to take my tape measure out and figure out what would work well to accommodate what's being done, and because you don't have to weld everything solid all the way across. It's not necessary. It'd be way overkill. So, and I will be welding not only this side, but obviously the opposite side as far as the inside of the C-channel. As you can see there where I'm pointing at. So this way it's nice and secure. So in the meantime, I'm going to put you up on the stand and give you a rundown of what I'm doing as far as that goes, and kind of go from there. And then I'll start welding, and actually after I get started welding and you see the procedure, I'll most likely put you on hold again, so this way I don't bore you with all the stuff that really doesn't need to be filmed. It'd be pretty much a waste of time of filming, and I'm trying to make the videos not short, because these are more of a video to show you how you can build a trailer and giving measurements and so forth. So that's why these particular videos are a little longer. I'm not doing these little skits that only take 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. And I know my last video I put out, I believe, was about an hour and 40 minutes, something like that. So I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, because obviously it's one day to the next day to the next. But nevertheless, I definitely wanted to make sure that I got enough information on this particular part, the carriage part of what I'm doing. So I got my tape measure, and I want to get the soap stick so that I can make my marks, and it's somewhere around here. Where did I put them? It's probably inside here. Alright, I got it. So I'm probably going to do 1.5 inch stitching in length. So, and I'll probably space them every 5 inches. Yeah, that seems about right. Every 5 inches and 1.5 inch stitch. Yep, I think that'll work out very well and definitely will hold up. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, this way it'll look nice, keeping everything uniform. You just don't want to get carried away. Don't want to get carried away. Every 5 inches and 1.5 inch long stream of welding. Now in this case, I'm left with like 2.5 inches. So I will, from the prior one that I just marked to the other one, I'll go actually 5 3/4 inch and have a 2 inch stitch weld on this center part right here. I want to make it look as even as possible. So I start off with 1.5 inch and give it the 5 inch space and mark the 1.5 inch, put a little X in the middle, 5 inches, inch and a half. And then I'll have my friend, the metal worker, verify my strategy and make sure I get his approval. If he thinks it needs more, or if I did it just right, I'll get his opinion and go from there. And that opinion will probably happen next week because we're at the end of the week. Today is Friday. Yep, and I know he's got a busy weekend scheduled. Absolutely. I'll do the same exact thing on this side. That's that. And the other point I want to point out is that, let me go get the wheel. I needed to get, let me go a little closer. Needed to get 3 additional wheels, rims, obviously for the new trailer. I really didn't want this, it's called a wagon wheel in the car world, I believe. Maybe not so much, I don't know. But the other wheels that I have are solid ones. They don't have any cuts in them. And because of that, I noticed I have one of these wheels already, and actually it's over there on the front, first one. And I noticed the offset of where this bolts on is different than the solid steel ones that I have. So with that, I kind of wanted to match them so that this way they would all look the same. Having 6 wheels, having them be all the same. But they didn't have that style that I was looking for in a 6-lug pattern. They have that style in an 8-lug, which obviously it's a heavier axle and heavier spindles and bearings and everything else that goes with it. So I only bought one, and I said if it works, I'll keep it. If not, I'll bring it back and I'll figure something else out. So I tried it out already. I took the wheel off and I put this one in its place, and I believe it'll be just fine. So that was the deal with that. So I will be picking up 2 more additional ones because initially I only have 1 spare, and actually that one that I have on the front is the spare for the set of 4 that I always took with me anytime I used the original red trailer. And now having 6, I want to have 2 spare tires because I just think that's better. And actually I discovered that when we took a trip with my enclosed 36-foot gooseneck enclosed trailer to pick up a car. I ended up using the 2 spares because it was a long trip. It was 1,000 miles one way, and we ended up using them. So that's a lesson in itself. I had them. I was glad to have them. I didn't need any roadside assistance that was going to cost me an arm and a leg and then some. So I will make sure that anytime this trailer leaves out, that it has 2 spares. And my finger's definitely feeling better. The stitches won't come out until, I feel like pulling them out now, until next week. But in the meantime, when I go to do anything and have been doing anything, I did put and wear gloves. And I still keep careful of using this. So nevertheless, I'm going to get started on some welding. I'm going to film that and then put you on pause and finish welding everything up. And at that point, once it's done, I'll show you what it looks like. And I believe that will end this segment of this video, so that this way, when we go to do the gooseneck style, you'll be able to see that all by itself, setting up, welding up the gooseneck. So, but anything, the next other segment that I'll be doing, pending on time, if he comes to help me sooner, is doing the last 4 feet at a 10-degree angle going down and setting that up. I already have the material over there for that, and I will be setting that up and showing the measurements and repeating the fact that it's at 10 degrees, it's 4 foot, and the rest of the measurements, and then I'm making a setup for the ramps to go on the very end so that it has a comfortable incline of loading up a car, truck, whatever it is. But that's the story for now. I'm gonna turn this so that I could show you some welding, and then show you what it looks like after I'm done welding it. And to let you know, the chief in charge is on break. She's actually hanging out underneath the '57 Chevy frame on a carpet. She's taking a nap, well-deserved nap. Sure, kitty. Gotta love that kitty. Puss in Boots, she's taking a nap. All right. Alrighty, that's one. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I did, and then I'm going to put you on hold, and then when it's all done, chime back in. So. Okay. So now you got a pretty good view of what stitch welding looks like. It's all burnt in there really nice. And roughly I think this is a 28-inch span. So keep in mind I will be welding directly on the opposite side. So I got a good grab on it, because this is pretty wide and I'll have to go weld upward underneath, upside down welding, to stitch them in. And then I'm going to proceed now to do where these other marks are. They're roughly 1.5 inches, and they are spaced every 5 inches. So I'm going to put you on hold, and when I'm done doing this, I'll sign you back in. Well, I am back. And like I said, I would finish up the one side, show you how it was done. I got started on doing that when I was welding it, and I put you on hold so that this way I can finish it. And finally, here comes the chief in charge. She took her nap, and she's ready to do her inspection because she knows I'm done with the side here. And I got started on the opposite side. But she's here. She's going to overview it. But in the meantime, give you an overview of the stitch welding in place. And obviously, I also welded in all the hangers at the same time. And what also I realized, by adding those extra pieces there, the 6-inch channel, so that I could weld more of the brackets, as you see here, I'm also, I feel as though, helping reinforce the C-channel, like squaring it up. And as you can see, they're welded on the top. They're welded actually right across on the inside as well on all of them. So I think that actually adds a little bit more support in keeping it square so it doesn't rack one way or another. I believe that definitely does help that, and there are 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, and 4 throughout it, and spaced where all the hangers are, as you can see. So all of that is done on that side. Like I mentioned earlier, when my iron worker comes and helps me with the gooseneck, I'm going to get his approval or disapproval on what I've done, including the welding upside down, which obviously is a whole bag of fun. Actually, you got to be extremely careful when you're doing that, because you could get a, I don't know, chest belly full of a whole lot of welding. Absolutely, because of the slag dropping. See if I can zoom in more, give you a better idea. Yep. So that is that. So I am started on this side, as you can see. I think. Yep. There you go. All my marks are there. I got my pieces ready that have to be welded in, and she just looked it over and she gave it 2 paws up. So that's pretty good. She might be waiting to get fed for her services. But anywho, yeah, this brings this video on this part of the trailer to an end, so that this way the next part that I'll probably be doing by myself will actually be the tailpiece, the drop, tail drop, whatever the heck they're called, but it has a 10-degree angle. It'll be 4 foot out, obviously in the same width as the trailer, and that'll be another video. I figure I'd do a video on this setup here, and which I have done, give everybody a good idea of how it's done. At least this is the way I do it. You can do it any way you want, but I find this to be, I think, structurally strong and going to be able to more than carry the weight that I'm going to put on it. But until the next video, I'd appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe. Tell all your friends, family, and until then, try to get something done. But thanks for watching.